While at work, an email came in from my son's school, sports day, and immediately my mind went, okay, I need to remember to get his sports wear washed and ready when I get home. Not just washed, dried, ready, and somewhere I can actually find it in the morning. About an hour later, a reminder popped up on my phone. He's due for a dental checkup. So now I'm thinking, I need to call and book the appointment. Then I remembered dinner tonight. But before dinner, I need to stop at the shop to pick up vegetables, eggs, and meat. And while I'm out, I need to get petrol for the car. Then, of course, I started thinking about the cost of petrol these days, which led me straight into thinking about the family finances. And somewhere in the middle of all that, I remember the dishes sitting in the sink. This is the reality of a mother's mind. 1001 tabs open at once. The remembering, the planning, the worrying, the calculating, the carrying. And today on Little Wins with Chicky, we are unpacking the motherhood mental load, the invisible weight mothers carry every single day. Because sometimes motherhood isn't just what you do, it is everything you're thinking about while doing it. Hey lovelies, welcome back to Little Wins with Chicky. This is a place we talk about life, motherhood, rebuilding, growth, and all the little wins that sometimes go unnoticed. In the first episode, I talked about why I created this podcast and why little wins matter so much to me. And today I want to talk about something I think so many mothers experience, I myself included, but we don't always have words for it. The mental load, that invisible, constant running list in your mind, the list that never really switches off, the list that follows you to work, follows you into the shower, follows you into the kitchen, follows you into bed. And sometimes you even wake up in the middle of the night like, did I remember to sign that form? Did I remember to reply that email? Did I remember to call the school back? And honestly, I think this is one of those areas where little wins matter so much. Because when people look at motherhood from the outside, they may see the obvious things, the school run, packed lunches that are delicious. They see dinner being prepped and made. They see a child dressed neatly and smartly. They see the house somewhat functioning and running smoothly, but they don't always see the mental labor behind it. They don't see the thought process, they don't see the planning, they don't see the emotional regulation, they don't see the pressure of trying to stay on top of everything. And I mean everything. So today, I want this episode to feel like a deep breath, a moment where we say, actually, this is a lot. Like motherhood is a lot. Not in a complaining way, not in a I don't love motherhood or I don't love my child way, but in a truthful way. Because you can love your child. I love my child deeply. And I'm sure most mothers love their children deeply, but we can still admit that motherhood is heavy. Both things can be true. Now, what is motherhood mental load? When I think about motherhood mental load, I think about the work before the work. That's the best way I can describe it. It's not just doing the laundry, it's not noticing that the uniforms need washing before the school week starts, it's not remembering what day is PE and when the kit is needed, it's knowing when the snacks are running low and knowing each child's favorite snack. It's thinking, if I don't buy fruit today, there won't be anything for the lunchbox tomorrow and the next day. Is remembering appointments, school letters, permission slips, dentist checkups, their hair wash days, birthdays, medication, packed lunches, homework, bills, and everything in between. It's not just cooking dinner, it's thinking about what to cook with what you already have and what your child will actually eat. This is a big one. What is affordable? What is quick? But also what is healthy enough, what will nourish their body. And also, what won't leave you with a mountain of dishes after dinner time? It's not just taking care of a child, it is anticipating their needs before it becomes an emergency. It is knowing those things that can cause your child to have a breakdown or throw a tantrum and trying to get ahead of it. It is thinking ahead all the time. And frankly, it is exhausting because when your body is sitting still, your mind may still be working. Even when you're trying to rest, when you're trying to have a nap, or when you're trying to have some me time, your mind is still working. You can be sitting on the sofa, but mentally you're in the kitchen, you're at school, you're in the shop, you're checking the bank account, you're planning for tomorrow morning, and wondering whether you're doing enough. That is the part people don't see. The mental load is quiet, but it is heavy, very heavy. And sometimes when mothers say, I am tired, we're not only tired because of what we physically did, we're tired because of everything we had to think about, all the thinking, all the preempting, all the planning. That's what makes us tired. That is the most exhausting part. I always describe it as having tabs open in your mind, just like you have on your work computer. I know when my laptop has too many tabs open, like it does right now, and suddenly everything starts slowing down. This is what motherhood can feel like. There's a second tab, there's a school tab, there's a food tab, there's a money tab, there's a house tab, there's a work tab, the emotional well-being tab, the appointments tab, the clothes tab, the content creation tab, your business tab, and the am I doing enough tab, which tends to stay open all the time. The what have I forgotten tab. And the thing is, you don't always get to close one tab before another one open. You might be at work trying to focus, then an email or a phone call comes in from school. You might be cooking dinner and then you remember there's still laundry in the machine. You might be editing a video like I do sometimes, and then your child needs your attention and is asking for something. You might finally get to sit down and rest and have some me time. Then your brain goes, actually, have you paid that bill? You know, the letter you just received, have you responded to it? It's the constant switching. And I think one of the reasons motherhood can feel so mentally draining is not always one big, dramatic thing. It is the accumulation of the little things, the tiny thoughts, tiny decisions, tiny reminders, tiny responsibilities. But when you carry all of them at once and when you carry them consistently, it becomes heavy, very heavy. And sometimes we don't even realize how much you're carrying until one small thing tips you over. Maybe your child refuses the dinner that you spent hours preparing. Maybe you can't find one school item in the morning. Oh, this one drives me crazy. Especially the socks. It's always the socks or the mittens during winter. Maybe an email comes in asking for something extra. Maybe the dishes are still in the sink after a long day. And suddenly, it is not really about the dishes, it's about everything else that has happened before. It's about the fact that your mind has been running all day, non-stop. It's about the fact that you're the one who remembers, the one who anticipates, the one who holds the routine together, the one who notices what needs doing before anyone else notices. And sometimes you're the only one noticing. That is the invisible part of motherhood, the part we don't talk about so much. And then there's the emotional load because motherhood is not just practical, it's emotional, very emotional at times. You're not only thinking, what does my child need? You're also thinking, how is my child feeling? How are they coping? Are they okay? Are they happy? Are they overwhelmed? Are they eating enough? Did they finish their lunch at school? Are they sleeping okay? Are they developing well? Are they hitting all the milestones? Did I respond too harshly? Should I have been more patient? Am I giving enough attention? Am I present enough? And the emotional load can be heavy. It can weigh on you heavily because mothers are often expected to be the emotional thermostat of the home. If anyone is overwhelmed, somehow you're still expected to regulate yourself and then regulate them. You can be tired and still need to be gentle. You can be stressed but still need to be patient. You can be overstimulated, but you still need to respond calmly to your child's needs. And then the big one, the guilt. Oh, that guilt. The guilt you feel when you snap, the guilt you feel when you're tired and can't get something done or you didn't finish everything on your to do list, the guilt you feel when you want silence and you want to be alone. You just want to be left alone for a few minutes, but then you feel guilty and you feel like you're not giving them enough attention. The guilt you feel when you need space. The guilt you feel when you choose work. The guilt when you choose rest. The guilt when you feel you should be doing more. Motherhood has a way of making you feel guilty for needing some care, the same care you give to everyone else. And I think that's something we need to talk about more because needing rest doesn't make you a bad mother. Needing rest doesn't make you a selfish person. Feeling overwhelmed doesn't mean you don't love your child or children. It simply means you're human. And I think this is something a lot of mothers need permission to hold. You need to remember that you're a human before you're a mom. And being a human, just like everyone else, you have your limits. Personally, and for most immigrants, there is always that immigrant mother layer. And I know so many people out there can relate to this in different ways. When you're mothering away from the village you imagined, the load can feel heavier because there are fewer people that can actually step in to help. There are fewer people you can actually lean on. Fewer people who can say, drop him or her here for an hour. Fewer people who can, just pop in and help out with dinner, or you can pop over to their house and have dinner. The grandparents, the aunties, they're far away. You can't just pop in at their house. You can't drop by and they can't drop by. Fewer people who can notice that you're tired without you needing to explain everything to them. Fewer people who know your child deeply enough to support without needing a full briefing. Fewer people who know your child deeply enough to support without needing a full briefing. And I think sometimes people underestimate how that changes motherhood because support is not just for emergencies. Support also is about the everyday, the weekends, someone picking up something from the shop, someone helping you with the school run, someone watching your child while you rest, someone being there so you don't always have to be the only backup plan. When you don't have that, your mind naturally starts carrying more. You become your own backup plan, and that is hard. You plan more because you can't afford for things to fall apart. You have no backup plan. You think ahead because there may not be someone to rescue you, if you get yourself in a pickle. You become the planner and also the backup plan, and it can feel very lonely. And the loneliness is not always visible. You can be functioning, you can be smiling, you can be going to work, you can be doing school runs, but inside, you may still feel like I'm carrying a lot by myself. And I think is important, especially as someone who has experienced this and is still experiencing it. I think it's important to say it out loud. because many mothers are doing an incredible job in circumstances that require so much strength. And sometimes the little wins is not that everything is perfect. Sometimes the little win is that you're still showing up, even without a village. The one you imagined you would have before you became a mother. You don't have them, but you're still showing up. And then if you're a single mother, that adds another layer too, because there are moments where you are not just sharing the load unevenly, you are carrying the load alone. Not everyone is blessed with a beautiful 50-50 co parenting relationship. You're thinking about the child, you're thinking about the home, the money, the future, the routine, the emotional well being, the appointment, the bills, the food, the school, the work, and the dreams you still have for yourself. And even though it feels like some part of that dream has been dashed, you still hold some of it for yourself. And it's not that you don't want to do it, it's that doing it all can be a lot. There are decisions you make alone that you wish you could share with someone, have a shoulder to lean on. The worries you carry quietly because life still needs to move. There are days when you don't have the luxury of falling apart because someone still needs dinner. Someone still needs comfort. The kids still need clean clothes. Someone still needs you. And this is one of the hardest parts. Being needed when you yourself, you need support. Being strong when, there's no other option. And I think sometimes people praise strong mothers without asking whether they are tired. You hear them say, "Oh, you're so strong. I could never do this myself." And yes, maybe I am, maybe we are. But strength does not mean you're not exhausted. Strength does not mean you don't need help. Strength does not mean the load is light. And this is me saying to you, if you're carrying a lot, I see you. If all you did today was keep going, that counts. That is a little win. Another part of the mental load is the pressure to do motherhood beautifully, especially in this era of social media. There's a quiet pressure to make everything look aesthetic. The home has to look aesthetic, the lunchbox has to look perfect, the routines should look soft, the child should be thriving, the mom should be snapping back and glowing. The content should be consistent, the house should be clean, your meals should be healthy, the emotions should be regulated. And sometimes I'm like, excuse me, this is real life. Where where is the part where life is allowed to be real? Where is the part where the laundry is still sitting in the chair and probably has sat there for 2 days? Where is the part where dinner is whatever I can put together from my fridge, or maybe dinner is just takeout? Where is the part where we are all tired and trying? Where is the part where dishes sit in the sink because I am choosing to sit down for 10 minutes? I think we need more room for honest motherhood, particularly on social media. Because, yeah, motherhood is beautiful, but it is also repetitive. It is messy. It can be overstimulating and overwhelming. It is tender. It is tiring. It is funny. It is emotional. It is full of love, but it's also full of logistics. And I don't want to curate a life where I only celebrate the polished parts. This is where little wins matter. This is what I want to do with this podcast. Because sometimes the win is not a perfect routine. Sometimes the win is a real, repetitive, boring looking routine. A routine where you forgot something, remembered it later, improvised, and still made it happen. A routine where you fed your Tried chicken nuggets and chips and added cucumber and lettuce to make it healthy. That counts too. Now, I don't want this episode to just be about how heavy everything is. Because, yeah, mental load is real and is heavy. But I also want to think about the small things that can help. Not perfect solutions. We don't do perfection here, just little supports. One thing that helps me is writing things down because sometimes the mind can feel heavy. You know, when you have those tabs open, everything is just floating around in there. Once I put it somewhere, like my notes app, I love that app. The planner, the calendar, the reminder, it gives my brain a little bit of breathing room. Not always, but sometimes. Another thing is lowering the standard where I can. Not everything has to be done to the highest level. Some dinners can be simple, some routines can be basic, some days can just be survival days. Some tasks can wait, and that is not failure, it is actually wisdom. Because if you're carrying everything, you have to learn what actually needs your full energy and what can just be good enough. Another thing is accepting that rest is not a reward. Rest is not something I only deserve after doing everything. Because the truth is, everything may never be fully done. There will always be something needing to be done. Another dish, another email, another appointment, another plan, another load of laundry. The laundry never ends. So if I wait until everything is finished before I rest, I may never rest. And that is something I am still learning in my own life. Rest in the middle of unfinished things is still valid. Another thing that helps me is naming the load. Sometimes just saying I am overwhelmed because I carry a lot mentally helps me understand myself better. Instead of thinking, why am I like this? Why am I tired? Why am I easily irritated? I can say, actually, my brain has been working all day. And that gives me more compassion for myself, something we need as mothers. This is where I want to bring it back to the little wins. Because when we talk about wins, we often think they have to be big, a big achievement, a milestone, a big announcement, a big transformation. But motherhood teaches you that sometimes wins are quiet, sometimes they are just ordinary and almost invisible. Remembering the school email, booking the appointment, getting the sportswear washed, making dinner, even if it was simple, putting petrol in the car, checking the finances, even when it feels stressful, doing the dishes or deciding the dishes can wait, apologizing to your child after a difficult moment, choosing not to shout, taking a deep breath before responding to them, letting your child know they are loved even on a hard day. These are all little wins and they all matter because they are small things that hold life together. They may not look impressive from the outside, but they are evidence of care, evidence you love your child and you love being a mom, evidence of showing up, evidence that you're trying your very best. And I think sometimes mothers need to hear that trying counts. The invisible efforts, the remembering, the planning counts, the emotional labor counts, the way you keep going counts. Your little wins count. So if you're a mom listening to this and your mind feels full, I want to say this to you. You're not weak. You're carrying a lot. You're not dramatic. You're managing more than most people can see. You're not failing because you feel tired. You're just human. And maybe today a little win is not getting everything done. Maybe today a little win is noticing how much you're carrying and giving yourself a little grace. Maybe it's asking for help. Maybe it's writing the list down so you don't forget. Maybe it's making the simplest of dinner, but feeding your child a happy, healthy meal. Maybe it's leaving the dishes and choosing to sleep. Maybe it's just saying, I need a moment before you respond. Maybe it's admitting that motherhood is beautiful, but it can also be heavy. And maybe that honesty is a win in itself because we cannot heal from the things we keep pretending are not there. Motherhood is not just what people see, it is not just the packed lunches, the school runs, bedtime routines, the clean clothes, the appointments, the meals. It is also the invisible thinking behind all of it. The tabs open in your mind, the constant remembering, the planning, the worrying, the adjusting, the loving, the carrying. And if no one has told you recently, let me tell you now, what you do matters. Every part nobody claps for, every part nobody sees, every part that feels ordinary to you or to others, those little wins are still wins. So this week, I want you to notice one thing you carried that nobody saw, one thing you remembered, one thing you handled, one thing you got through. And I want you to call it what it is, a little win. Thank you for listening to Little Wins with Chiki. If this episode resonated with you, share it with another mom who might need the reminder that she's carrying a lot and she deserves grace too. And until next time, keep making those small steps that lead to big changes. I will speak to you in the next episode.